sharing her presentation. So Kasey, welcome. We're really grateful to have you here and for the opportunity to hear about Welcome NST and your neighborhood sport teams. I know when I first heard about this just maybe a week ago, just really felt like it was important, this one church or congregation and one refugee family, there's that model of partnership just seems like a really powerful way of supporting our new neighbors. And so go ahead and share with us about what this is all about and how we could consider joining in.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you so much for inviting me to speak to this amazing group of people. Quite honestly, you all probably have more years of experience than I do in this world, but that's kind of I think part of the beauty of this one group or neighborhood support team to one refugee family. So yeah, I'm just honored. It's so exciting for me to hear about what you all are doing, and I'm excited to be able to share with you all what we do at Welcome NST. I'm sort of here, I kind of wear two hats as well. I think, June, you may have said that. I am a church planter with Wes, and at the same time lead the church and also work for Welcome NST part-time in addition to some other jobs. I'm actually a physician assistant by education, so this world is certainly in the last couple of years new to me. But I know that our director, Liz Davis Edwards, would have loved to have been here as well if she could have been. Unfortunately, she's on vacation this week, but I'll speak a little bit about her as well. So I'm guessing you all can see this now. Does that look okay to everybody? Yeah, okay. So this is just quick. I did not put a long PowerPoint together, but just to give us a little bit of a guide for where we're going. And I think some people are a bit visual in nature, and so sometimes having this in place is helpful. So Welcome NST is a nonprofit organization. We are not government funded. We are privately funded and sponsored. We have been in existence almost 3 years now. We formed really out of the Afghan crisis, like Wes said. Before Wes and I were ever connected with Welcome NST, it formed with Liz Davis Edwards and her community in Bolton, Massachusetts, by welcoming several Afghan families. She had been doing some refugee work with her family for years, and what they were doing morphed into this, and now we're an organization on a national scale, resettling families through private sponsorship in about 33 states now, which has been pretty exciting. So over the last almost 3 years, we have, as an organization, resettled over 200 families, again, in 33 states, all through the private sponsorship model. That's taken a little bit of a turn, as I'm sure you are all aware, starting off with sponsor circles, and then the Uniting for Ukraine I-134 program that expanded into Haiti. We did some resettlement with safe mobility offices through the government, and now working very closely with the Welcome Corps to identify and resettle families, which is what I'll talk mostly about today. So we shift as the government allows us to shift, and our whole purpose and goal is to get as many families as we can resettled into communities all across this country. And we think the model of private sponsorship really is the next step in long-term success of our immigration and refugee resettlement program. So NSTs are really just that, neighborhood support teams. They are groups of people, whether they are faith communities or they are work communities or gym communities, even truly just a neighborhood. We've worked with all types of communities of folks to form teams of about 5 to 10 people to start that say, yes, we want to be one team that brings one family to our community, and we want to resettle them in all the ways that involves. And I'll explain more about that. That is what we do as an organization. We identify teams in the United States that want to do this. We match them with refugee families that we are becoming made aware of through the USCIS. And then we walk you through that process as a team with a mentor. We assign mentors to each of our teams. All of us have done this before, some of us multiple times. And you have our phone number and you have our email, and you don't wait on any kind of automated loop. You can have access to us whenever, when you have questions about how to do this process, which is what made it possible for me to do, having zero experience with refugee resettlement 3 years ago when we looked into and then ended up bringing the Afghan family here. So that's why you see the Four Rivers Church piece, because I'm wearing sort of that hat, but also really the role I play with Welcome NST in doing some outreach into the community like this. So in a quick overview of how the support process works, like I touched upon, right now we are working closely with the Welcome Corps, and all of our teams currently are applying through Welcome Corps with us to be a private sponsored group. We are an identified private sponsor organization. All of the refugees that we work with are identified by the USCIS and are coming here legally. The reason I say that is not because I have an opinion on that either way, but it truly makes private sponsorship successful because all of these refugees are able to work and work legally. And so it makes sponsorship doable for a private or a private institution because the financial piece isn't a long-term commitment, which is important for a lot of families teams getting into this. I am going to show you, or maybe better, what I can do for the sake of time is anyone that's interested at the end, I can email you what we have here that you have listed here as the practical ways of support checklist. We have, over the last 200 families, we have worked to resettle. We have developed pre-arrival and post-arrival checklists, probably like many of you have in your organizations, which really outlines the process from just saying yes as a team to welcoming a family at the airport to the 3 to 6 months out of private sponsorship and what that looks like. We help teams to identify subcommittees within their team, and those subcommittees are broad. And as you can all imagine, again, I think you're all quite aware of what it entails to resettle a refugee family. So finding a job, getting children involved in school or childcare, identifying a place to live, which is probably the most challenging thing, especially in Boston, right, or certain areas, getting benefits established, which is huge. Massachusetts is an incredible place. For all the states that I have worked with, Massachusetts is incredible with the social service benefits they offer to refugees. In our experience, again, comparatively, it's not perfect, but it certainly makes it much easier for teams. So, and then we have people that are working on transportation and getting a license or accessing the public transport system, setting up bank accounts, paying bills, going to the grocery store, some of those smaller tasks, which are vitally important to independence. So I have those checklists I could share to you for sure. I would like to show you this video, and I think I'm going to have to make a change on how you can hear it. So I'm going to wait till the end in terms of changing the speaker. This is about a 2.5-minute video that we recently put together about a family that was welcomed here to Massachusetts, actually, not far from many of you. And I think it's just a beautiful picture of why we do what we do, some of the how, but mostly the why. So let me just pause on that, and we'll keep going through, and then I'll go back and play that for you all, which I could also share with you all. We do have a shorter version of that that we can use for social media. The most exciting thing, I think, the new development that I can share with you all today, which I think makes a huge impact on limiting barriers to refugee resettlement for private groups, is the grants that I have to speak of. So as of 2 weeks ago, in partnership with the Biden administration and the Shapiro Foundation, we were able to announce that we have established grants and funding through those grants to teams. Any new neighborhood support teams that agree to resettle one family to their community before that agree to do it before the 31st, not resettle the family before the 31st of July, has access to $2,450 per individual resettled. So a family of 4, your team is automatically being given $10,000 through that grant, which is amazing. So that's that's a huge asset to start with, because fundraising can certainly be quite challenging in some areas. And that $10,000 can be used however you deem necessary as a team. Most often it will be used for housing expenses. I also, in New England, have access to $2,500 per team that is connected to a faith institution. That's another grant actually coming to us through the LDS Church, of all things. We talk about interfaith. They want to encourage more faith groups to do this very thing. And so they are giving $2,500 grants to any church group that says yes to this, that can only be used for resources outside of housing. So things like purchasing a washer and dryer, clothing, groceries, etc. So that's a potential of $12,000-ish per team that you can receive just by saying yes by the 31st, which is pretty phenomenal. If the family is larger, you receive more money from this grant. So the eligibility criteria for those things are just, again, that you say yes to doing this as a whether it be a church faith-based community or even a different group, like I spoke of, a gym, a work employer kind of group, truly neighbors in your area group. Everybody is eligible to that money through the Shapiro Foundation. The reason for that is we are trying to get as many refugees here as we can as quickly as possible. We don't know what's going to happen in November. I think I can just leave it at that. So we want to do as much as we can, as quickly as we can, in the most sustainable way. The application process does involve the Welcome Corps. Again, like I said, we are a nonprofit organization. We are not government funded, but we work very closely with the USCIS. And so the Welcome Corps application is the place to start. And that needs to be completed by all of our teams. Not completed by the 31st of July, just we kind of get the ball rolling. You know, we get a yes from you, and that process begins. And then real quickly, I just want to share some of the resources that we offer to our NSTs through our organization, through Welcome NST. So we do have a partnership with Airbnb that is providing 1 month of free housing to any refugee family coming to the area. If for some reason an apartment or an in-law suite or something isn't available or ready in time when they arrive, Airbnb will give a month of housing for free. Our teams utilize that, and they're wonderful to work with. We are a 501c3, and we do offer a fundraising platform. We use something called Kasey and Divvy, which is similar to GoFundMe. Some church organizations, faith-based groups, don't need that because they already are their own 501c3, and they prefer to raise money and kind of manage all of their funds that way. As our church did, we did that on our own, but you don't have to. So we can manage the back end of your funds with our bookkeeper, et cetera. So that's another benefit that we offer. We do have packages of shareable assets that we offer to you that can be used on social media, emails, letters that can be given to potential landlords, et cetera. So we have shareable assets, and we just created a private Facebook group where we have a lot of conversation can happen once invited to it, where questions can be asked of other neighborhood teams. We manage that group, and so that's has started off being a real asset to teams as well. So the last thing I want to share is that's a little bit about the how, and I can answer any questions because I'm sure there are some you may have, but I would love to talk just a minute about the why, and I'm sure that I can speak even, I don't know, more candidly and perhaps shorter to this group of people about the why, because we're already all involved in this kind of work. But specifically with regards to church involvement. And this is really my role, and Wes actually does some work with Welcome NST as well. Our role is to try to engage faith communities, particularly the church, the Christian church world, in private sponsorship. And we feel very passionate and strongly about this because we saw how impactful it was, like Wes spoke to, in our own church congregation, but also within our community. What we found is that in our faith community, as I think most of you would agree, 20% of the people do 80% of the work, and 80% of the people, I would say maybe it's harder to engage. What we found with refugee resettlement is it's so easily pulled those on the bench right up into engagement in our community. And it was a beautiful process that required so little effort on our part. We truly had folks coming to our door and saying, how can I get involved in this? And so we started with a team of, 5 to 10 saying, let's do this. I literally had no idea what I was doing. The first team we partnered with Park Street Church, and I worked with a woman at Park Street Church to resettle and sponsor the family of 9 from Afghanistan. But the team grew quickly from 5 or 10 to truly over 100, and it was an incredible thing. So, probably the best thing we've done as a church, and the fastest way to solidify our vision and mission as a church, to say that we leave the building and um, we don't stay focused inward, but we focus outward, like we believe Jesus called us to. So the impact we have had and have seen in our church, but also our greater community, is really quite phenomenal. Um, as many of you probably are aware, New Hampshire, we live over on the seacoast area by the university. We're in the university town. It is not a particularly diverse area. And so a lot of folks have thought, why you can't resettle a bunch of refugees. Like, it will never work. You don't have the resources. We actually do. We actually have an exorbitant amount of resources and people, human resources, people saying, I want to be part of something that actually makes an impact. And this is one of the quickest ways to rub shoulders and do life with people from different cultures and communities. It really just it benefits every single person involved, from children all the way up to those that are in their 80s and 90s and have never participated in this kind of thing. We have seen it like span the span of who it impacts is quite phenomenal. I think pictures speak 1,000 words, right? So I'm just going to fly through some pictures, starting at the end and working towards the beginning with our church. But this was the last family we just brought here: Raquel, Flor, and Samuel from Guatemala. They've been here a few months now, and Raquel, the daughter, is working 2 part-time jobs. Samuel's in school; they're learning English. They're incredible. They escaped quite a bit of threats in their home country. This is a family that we brought here. It's just a sister, 2 sisters, and their daughter, Sedora, about 7 or 8 months ago. And Shelly in the middle. Shelly is with Team CISC, which is the Seacoast Interfaith Sanctuary Coalition. And I got to work with her and a number of people on that team who are from a variety of different churches in the Seacoast area, to resettle this sweet little family. And it was amazing. So when you talk about interfaith effort, oh my goodness, is it a beautiful thing? And this team has been incredible to work with. I have loved being a part of the Seacoast Interfaith Sanctuary Coalition. So I worked with them. This is a conglomerate of 3 different families from Haiti that we actually helped resettle to this area just almost a year ago. All 3 of them came from Boston, and we worked with an organization called IFC out of Everett, and identified these 3 families and moved them up to our area. Lots of children. Oh, we just love them to pieces. This is one of those families. You see there, Frisnell, and I just have to point out that Frisnell is a gentleman that came from Haiti, but ended up in Chile because that's where he initially got a passport to. A visa to go to, and then walked with his wife and daughter from Chile through the Darien Gap into Mexico, and came to us through using the CBP1 app, but was put on a plane to Massachusetts from Texas when he crossed the border, and now is working 2 full-time jobs, not because we asked him to, because he's supporting his entire family in Haiti right now that can't leave, and they are an absolute blessing to the community, an absolute joy. He has his license. Both his wife is working as well. This is a family. This is Dima, Lena, and their little dog, who came to us from Ukraine at the start of the Ukraine war. They are now living independently out in Denver, Colorado, and doing phenomenal. They were just a joy to work with. And finally, I'm showing you a picture of you can identify in this large group of people, our family from Afghanistan that came to us just after the evacuation of families. This was through a partnership with Park Street Church. This is at their home. that the community was able to rally and get for them and redecorate an old farm home that needed a lot of work. This is the team plus a whole bunch of folks missing from various churches and towns and walks of life to resettle a family of 9, which nobody ever would have thought was possible. Finally, this is Michael and this is Linda. And all I want to say about Michael and Linda, these are 2 people that have become 2 of my dearest friends in the world. And I met both through the process of resettling the Afghan family. Michael, a recently widowed man, said, I have a big home and lots of resources and I don't know what to do with myself. And I'd like a way to connect. I am not part of a church. I don't have much of a church history, but I want to have some impact in this part of my life. And Linda, who came to us and said, I'm just dropping off a TV. I saw what you're doing on Facebook. Here's a TV, has now become the adopted grandmother, literally, of every single family we have brought here. And both of them now are a dear part of our community. And I can't speak highly enough of these 2 relationships of people I don't think I would have met if it wasn't for doing something like that. So finally, the next steps, if this is something that is appealing to you, if you think it's something that your church community or neighborhood community could say yes to, I think, again, we all appreciate the why behind it, but the practical next steps are this. The July 31st deadline is sort of, it's supposed to be driving movement, but it is important because that $10,000 ish, depending on the size of the family, is a large asset to have as a new team. And again, all that has to be done before the 31st is you say yes. We generally recommend you start a neighborhood support team with 2 people, meaning there are 2 people that step up and say, I'm going to lead this venture. I can do this. For me, it was Wes and I, which is okay. Sometimes it's hard to have the leader of the church, the lead pastor, reverend, be the one that's stepping up to do that, but it's possible because we did that. But 2 people that say, we will co-lead this venture. You can have 1, but 2 is sometimes easier because phone calls sometimes happen at, not the most convenient times, and we all have lives. And so it's nice to have 2. From there, we say 5. 5 is where you start. You start with your 2 leaders and you build to a team of 5, which within faith communities is really not difficult to do because you're already uniquely set up to do this very thing. And those are the 5 folks that get listed on your Welcome Core application. The team very, very quickly grows to much larger than 5 without you even trying, because people hear what's happening and they want involvement. They want to be involved in this. The stories I could tell you really are limitless. And I'm sure you all have similar stories that are just as powerful when you see God work in these incredible ways. So you start with a team of leaders of 2, build a team of 5, submit a Welcome Core application. And again, that process you do with us, and we kind of walk you through it. We help you. We review your Welcome Core application to make sure it's complete. We filled out a lot of them. And then we begin the match process with Welcome Core and the USCIS to say, okay, here's a family that's in need from X country. Most of the families that we are working with now are from South and Central America, but there is some movement within the USCIS and Welcome Core for Afghan families, again, those that are not in country. Because we don't always have a way to get them out still. But so there are some other groups the U.S. government is working with, but we really are limited by what they determine is most in need, or who is most in need. But we begin the match process and we walk you through the steps of meeting the family, oftentimes on WhatsApp, sometimes on Zoom, welcoming them to the airport and moving them into your community, and then building relationships that last a lifetime, I would say. So we generally ask our teams to commit to 6 months with these families. I think that's pretty accurate with every family we have resettled here. Personally, they are all independent, really 95% independent by 6 months of arrival, except for the family from Afghanistan. That was a bigger family and the on-ramp was much longer. And I think probably some of you, if you have some experience with that, understand that deeply as well. So The 6 months or so is an accurate representation of the commitment of time. However, I like to say it's 6 months, but really it truly is. They become a part of your community. They are friends. We welcome them into our homes and our lives. And like Wes said, I'm not sure who is more blessed in the process, really. It's a beautiful gift. So finally, we do have another Zoom call. I'm sorry, a webinar coming up this coming Thursday night at 8 p.m. And I can send that link maybe through Kelly. If anybody wants it, she can share it. And this is a webinar that we are doing to speak more in detail about the grant money and the process. If you're interested, a lot of it is what I've already shared with you today, but that's another chance to meet Liz Davis Edwards. She'll be on that call. She's the director and the CEO, but we have that as well. So any way that I can help, I can talk with you more. One of the things that Wes and I do is we love to go to groups, whether it be a church or just a different type of community that's formed and share this information. We love to do that, and we are local to you all, so a lot of times we can do that in person, which is really a blessing. So maybe what I might do, Kelly, just for the sake of time, is I won't share that video, but you have it, so you could share it potentially, and
Yeah, I'll
I'll
put it
just
in the chat.
great. I'll leave it at that.
And yeah, thank you. That was super informative. I really appreciate you walking us through the steps and answering a lot of the questions, sharing the why. And we do want to take the remaining time just to open it up for questions from anyone. As you're considering this opportunity, yeah, what questions do you have for Kasey and Wes? The floor is yours.
Kelly, I'll point out that there was a couple questions that came up in the chat while you were talking.
Yeah, maybe we could start with those.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking right here. The LDS grant go to synagogues and mosques too. I don't know why it would not. I would imagine that, again, they are just trying to involve and engage more people. The founder of the organization, Welcome NST, is from the Latter-day Saints church community. I don't know that with certainty, but I certainly am happy to ask, because we really do promote an interfaith model. Did I miss any other questions? I don't think so that were in there, so.
Yeah, any questions, any reactions people have?
Kasey, this is like really exciting, and I really love the pictures. It really reflects what I think is the kingdom of God right here and on the planet. So I
Me
wanted
too.
amen. Is there any like time limit? I know that it's urgent, but like say a group got started and like, do you get the money up front? Is it like a reimbursable contract? How does the financial piece work?
Yeah, typically you do get it up front, because most of these, it's not reimbursable. You have access to it up front. These families that we're looking at are probably, we are told, will be ready for arrival towards the end of September.
Okay.
So it does give there's a window of time to kind of get your team up and going and established, find housing, etc.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
Yes.
Kasey, this is Reverend Laura from Mass Council of Churches. First, thank you for taking on this work and for having an open heart. And I hear the careful care of your language politically, and appreciate how you're navigating that, especially in this season. I'm thinking about some of our churches in Massachusetts, some of our congregations, and in this interfaith setting, I think we're trying to be really mindful of a language around congregations works for multiple houses of worship.
Yes, love that.
One of the things we're noticing is that some communities are already starting to build, some congregations are starting to build relationships because of local emergency shelters And it sounds like through USCIS, that that's the body that does the appointing of like who the family is. So it would not necessarily, I'm just checking my assumption on this. It would not necessarily be someone who is currently residing in Massachusetts. Is that correct?
So it's correct with regards to the grant that is coming through Welcome Corps. It is not correct with regards to can we assist families that already live here, and would the $2,500 support that? The answer to your question is yes. So the 3 families that we welcomed, actually the 4 families we welcomed from Haiti, we met in Everett through IFC. And so, yep. So absolutely. And we have found there seems to be no one really in charge of who you can privately resettle. Like you could just, like we met these 4, I went down there and met about 75 families at IFC last summer in Everett. And I got all of their information the best I could. It was this beautiful, amazing experience. And I wanted to bring all of them back with me. But these 4 ended up having work authorization, could start working, etc. And that was before any grants existed. So we didn't get any money for that. But the grant of $2,500 would still apply to a new team that wants to welcome a family that is already here. The grant from Welcome Corps through the Shapiro Foundation applies to anybody that fills out the Welcome Corps, and then the USCIS identifies a match.
Okay, and remind me who Welcome Corps is?
It's a branch under the USCIS. It's the US government. Yeah, it's part of the Immigration Service. Yeah, exactly. I should have explained that. But yeah, it's just the process that the USCIS has sort of the pathway for private sponsorship that they've established.
Great, thank you so much. And say if Mass Council of Churches and UniteBoston and JCRC, Jewish Community Relations Council, were like, hey, we're gonna host a gathering for congregations who maybe are curious and want to meet a July 1 deadline. Would you all be open to like a lunchtime webinar for congregational leaders?
100%.
Cool.
Yes. Yes. Okay. We would love that. We love to do things like that. Yep.
Great. Not that I'm commandeering my congregational colleagues into that right now, but I'm just thinking ahead because deadlines motivate leaders, as does money on the table.
It does. Yeah, deadlines motivate, and that deadline of July 31st is a real deadline. I would not be surprised if it gets extended. However, we don't know that. And so we're going to go with that deadline.
Amen. Okay.
Yeah. This is great. Wes. I just like you've nailed the exact purpose of that it's money and a deadline. It's really to drive motivation there. One thing I would just add to that I found really helpful in talking to churches is the church or the congregations. Thank you for that. That's a great way to frame that. I found with congregations that the congregational leader is often maxed. And so if the congregational leader can come to like a webinar, but if they can tap one person in their body that is passionate about this, that's really where I see the congregations take off, where there's one person who's saying, I have been waiting for you to ask me to do this. And it's really, really cool. So that might be a way to really empower the local leaders, as well as just, come to the webinar and if there's someone in your body that is super passionate about this, invite them. So I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, I'm wondering about, and I'm seeing Sasha and Reverend Kelly responding. Maybe we do an RSVP model that's like head of congregation plus a lay leader, like what's the invite model, and at a time that could allow for both? I mean, look, God herself goes to the Cape in Massachusetts during the summer, but there's no reason why she can't Zoom in here for a webinar. So I think you know, we use the timeline as initiative and we record it, and I think also having those templates in advance or to be able to push out with it to say, look, here's the registration process. It's a 6-month commitment. That kind of clarity can be really, really helpful. Really grateful for you all.
I actually have too that, and so Kelly, you have the pre and post the list, the checklist, but I also have a Welcome NST 1-pager that I don't think I sent to you.
Yeah.
That would, I think, speak to what you just said, Laura. So I can send that to you as well, in addition to the link for Welcome Core, the application. So teams could just look at it if they wanted to sort of see what does this entail. The application itself takes about, I don't know, an hour. I like how the question, what does it mean decide to do it by the 31st? I just want to clarify what that means. Basically is that you register a team with Welcome NST as a private sponsor organization. We are not the only private sponsor organization by any means, but we are one of them. And so you register a team with us and you just say, yes, we want to do this. That's what that means. And it's not a hard thing at all. The registration does not need to be completed with Welcome Core. You just need to have registered a team.
And just to clarify, to register a team, you need just like those 1 or 2 people and like just short. How long is that first saying yes?
You just need the couple people. That's it. Yeah, just the 1 or 2 team leads. Yep. That's exactly right.
Okay, thanks.
Do those team members have to be named, or can it just be connected to the faith-based congregation?
Well, that's such a good question. Welcome Core does require 5 names. They require 5 names total. So that can be your 2 leads and then 3 additional, but they do require names.
Thanks, Kasey. And can you just share, you mentioned there are other teams that are doing similar work to what you're doing. Is that like Catholic Charities, HIAS, other resettlement, Jewish Family Services, Metro West, those other resettlement types of organizations, right?
Yeah, exactly. So there are, we are one of several private sponsor organizations that is able to identify private sponsor groups and do this process with the USCIS. I think the difference probably, I would say, with Welcome NST is that's really that's all we do, right? So a lot of the other organizations do, we have a partnership. We just did a webinar with World Relief. We're meeting with, we're doing a webinar with QuestScope on Thursday. So we do have sort of crossover with a lot of those different organizations. But yes, that's a good way to say it.
Thank you. And I just wanted to ask you, is it possible to post the information? You said that there's grant funding possibility with LDS as well as the Shapiro Foundation. Is there any chance that you could share that in the chat?
What information do you, what do you mean? Just like the amount of money or what?
Yeah, I was just curious to learn more. I mean, personally, I'd love to know if that's open for different faiths or if that's specific to, churches.
Yeah. That information I could definitely get to you. The direct contact for who made that donation, I would have to. I don't actually know exactly who that is because I don't manage any of our bookkeeping. But yeah, I can find that out and get you that information. There is an application process for the grant through the Shapiro Foundation with the Welcome Core. There's an application link once you register a team that the Welcome Core will send to you to apply for that grant. So I don't have that either because you have to do the team first.
No worries. Kasey, I really appreciate you sharing all of this stuff. I'm just curious, have you had any experience with a church and a synagogue or a mosque and a synagogue, like doing this together? So like a church has 2 people, a mosque has 2 people, a synagogue has 1 or 2 people, have you had anything like that? or is it
Yeah.
typically just one congregation sponsoring?
No, I have had that. So the first team that we had when we brought the family from Afghanistan here, we had several folks on our, there aren't really a lot of, there's very small mosque in Dover near us. So, but we had several folks part of our team that were Muslim. We had several folks that were part of our team that were from the Jewish temple in Portsmouth. And then part of our church, some not church people at all. So that was a like that was definitely an interfaith team. And then Team Sith, like, I don't know if that's when you were transferring, but Seacoast Interfaith Sanctuary Coalition brought a family here. And that was, there are multiple folks, including several people from the Jewish synagogue in Portsmouth. And I actually was able to go speak to them at one of their services on a Friday night, which was amazing. So I love the interfaith model. Love it, love it, love it. I think it's amazing. I think it's one of the best ways that one of the best things we can do as a community to show unity. You know, I think it's just beautiful. You'll all appreciate this. On our Easter service several years ago, I asked the family from Afghanistan wanted to come to our Easter service, knowing that, you know, they're Muslim, but they were like, well, we get it. And so they came, and I asked a woman to bring them, and she said, let me get this right, that you're asking a Jewish woman during Passover to bring a Muslim family to an Easter service on, you know, at a Christian church. And I was like, I am. And she's like, I'm in. Love it. So it's beautiful. I love it. I love it.
Wow, yeah, thank you. And are there any other questions? I know we're running out of our allotted hour together, but I just want to make sure we've got all the questions or comments made.
Kelly, so I will get you all of that information that I have, and then certainly, you know, I suspect you all may have my email, right, Kelly, from you. It's on this anyway, so you could share that if anyone has any other questions they wanted to reach out specifically.
For sure.
But this is,
yeah, thank you.
What an honor to speak to you all. And it's so exciting to hear what everybody is doing to try to help in this crisis.
Yeah, you've given us lots to think about, pray about, and bring home to our communities. So yeah. Let's just close out in a word of prayer. I wonder if there's anyone that just like to close out our time together.
Sure, I'll do it.
Thank you, Val.
God of all things, creator of all that there is, we thank you for this opportunity to love and serve and bless those that we know that you love. We ask, Lord, that many partnerships and collaborations will come out of this. And we pray, Lord, that we're able to be a blessing to people who are entering into this country, that we might offer hospitality and friendship and safety. And so, Lord, would you just be blessed, and would you just continue to oversee this work as interfaith collaborators come together to stand in faith and hope that we can be a country that is welcoming to others. So just have your way. Amen.